This isn't a news report, this is a what if. What if the most dangerous story in wrestling isn't about ratings, but about revenge? Let's start with a fact. Back in December of 2019, Arissa LeBrock, daughter of action legend Steven Seagal, and supermodel Kelly LeBrock attended a WWE tryout. She had the pedigree, a background in Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu, and the look of a superstar. Then, after the tryout, silence. The official story is that an injury put her dreams on hold. But what if there was more to it? What if that silence was a rejection so insulting, it sparked a fire? Imagine a scenario where Arissa LeBrock didn't just get passed on. She got mad. And what if she decided to declare a one-woman war, signing with AEW for one reason, to end WWE? The setup, a secret betrayal to picture how this war begins. Let's go back to that 2019 tryout in Orlando. On paper, Arissa was a promoter's dream, a perfect mix of her mother's star quality and her father's intimidating presence. She wasn't just a model playing dress-up. She was a legitimate BJJ practitioner from the Paragon Jiu-Jitsu and Kickboxing Academy. Photos from the tryouts showed a focused, powerful athlete, and it felt like a sure thing she'd be the next big signing for NXT. But the deal never came. Years went by, and the wrestling world just kind of forgot. In our story, however, the truth is far more personal. Imagine that, after the tryout, a confidential evaluation from top WWE executives gets leaked and finds its way back to Arissa. The contents aren't just a simple no. They're a slap in the face. In this fantasy scenario, the report allegedly dismisses her martial arts skill as a hobby, calls her a runway model playing wrestler, and questions her grit. And one line becomes her mission statement. She has the name, but not the hunger. Liability due to her father's reputation. Pass. They wouldn't just be passing on a recruit, they'd be belittling a warrior. They saw the daughter of Steven Seagal and Kelly LeBrock and only saw a brand, not a fighter. They saw a pretty face and assumed it couldn't take a punch. In this story, they didn't just make a mistake. They created their most dangerous enemy. The leaked report wasn't the end of her career, it was the beginning of her war. The inciting incident, the AU contract. After the humiliation of that fictional WWE rejection, Arissa LeBrock disappears from the public eye. She doesn't go back to modeling. She doesn't hit the Hollywood party scene. She goes dark. The world may have forgotten her wrestling dreams, but the words from that document are burned into her mind, fueling a quiet, calculated rage. She's not just training anymore. She's forging herself into a weapon. During this time, she doubles down on her training, not just in BJJ, but in the brutal art of pro wrestling. And she finds the perfect mentor, a man who knows all about fighting from under the shadow of a legendary father, AEW's Dustin Rhodes. What starts as training sessions at his academy turns into something more. Dustin sees a different kind of fire in her, not the hunger for fame, but a cold, focused fury. He sees her channeling every bit of that disrespect into raw aggression. Recognizing he has something special, Dustin makes a call directly to AEW President Tony Khan. This isn't a recommendation for a developmental rookie, it's an alert. He tells Khan he's found an assassin. He describes a style that's a terrifying mix of her father's Aikido and a ground game that can snap a limb in a heartbeat. He makes it clear, Arissa isn't looking for a job. She's looking for a battlefield. The meeting that follows would be legendary. In our story, it takes place in late 2025, away from any arena or corporate office. Tony Khan has just one question: what do you want? Her answer is simple and chilling. I want to dismantle the division they think is untouchable. I want to break their champions. I want to expose the arrogance that dismissed me. I want to end WWE. The multi-year deal she signs isn't about the money. It's a contract for a revolution. That night, Tony Khan tells his inner circle, we've signed wrestlers. We've signed legends. Tonight, we signed a weapon of mass destruction. He has no idea what's coming. The ink on that contract is the first shot in the most personal war wrestling has ever seen. Rising Action, Part 1. The brutal debut. Let's set the stage. For weeks leading up to her arrival, AEW's shows are haunted by cryptic videos. The screen glitches to grainy black and white footage of a lone figure training in the shadows. No music, just the silent, fluid violence of Aikido throws and Jiu-Jitsu chokes. The tagline is always the same: the debt comes due. Online speculation runs wild, but no one puts it together. The name Arissa LeBrock is a forgotten piece of trivia. Then, on a cold January night in 2026, on a live episode of AEW Dynamite, the debt gets collected. Imagine the AEW Women's World Champion, Timeless Toni Storm, celebrating in the ring after a tough main event. The music is playing, the crowd is cheering, and then, total darkness. The arena is plunged into an unnerving silence. For 10 long seconds, nothing. When the lights snap back on, Toni isn't alone. Standing across from her is Arissa LeBrock. No music, no pyro, no announcement. She's just there, dressed in stark all-black fight gear, her face a mask of cold indifference. She looks less like a wrestler and more like an executioner. The crowd is stunned into silence. A confused Toni Storm steps forward and asks, Who the hell are you? Arisa doesn't answer with words. She moves with unnatural speed. Before Storm can even get her hands up, Arisa closes the distance. It's not a fight, it's a dismantling. She deflects a punch with a fluid wrist lock, a move straight from her father's playbook, and sweeps Storm off her feet. The champ hits the mat, and in a flash, Arisa is on her, sinking in a rear naked choke. There's no struggle, no dramatic crawl to the ropes. The hold is locked in with terrifying precision. Tony's body goes limp. Arisa holds it for a few seconds longer, just to make a point, before letting her drop to the canvas. As medics rush the ring, Arisa simply stands, turns her back on the chaos, and walks out, disappearing into the darkness. The show goes off the air with the image of a fallen champion and the terrifying statement that an apex predator has arrived. Rising Action Part 2, The Declaration of War. The wrestling world is in a frenzy. Who was that woman? What was the meaning of that cold, calculated attack? The next week on Dynamite, the show opens with Arisa LeBrock. She walks to the ring with that same chilling calm microphone in hand. Again, she starts with silence, letting a low, pulsating drone fill the arena. Then, the Jumbotron flickers to life. On the screen is the fictional, leaked WWE evaluation. The words that fueled her rage are now broadcast for the world to see. Just a model. Lacks hunger, pass. As the camera zooms in on those last words, Arisa finally speaks, her voice low and laced with venom. For 6 years, she begins. I held on to these words. The industry leader decided my fate based on insults from suits who've never taken a bump. They judged my heart without knowing my fight. They saw my name but disrespected my bloodline. They looked at me and saw a liability. She lets that hang in the air. They were right. I am a liability. But not to their bottom line. I'm a liability to their champions, to the false sense of security they've built. She looks straight into the camera, as if speaking directly to WWE headquarters. I didn't come to AEW for a championship. I'm here to collect debts. And I'll do it by destroying the symbols of their success, one by one. Then, she names her targets, igniting an interpromotional war. Rhea Ripley, she says, her voice dropping to an icy whisper. The dominant force in a division that thought I wasn't good enough to even be in the building. I'm coming for your pedestal. Bayley, she continues, naming the other champion. Your company loves a good story. Every story has an end. I will write your final, painful chapter. She lowers the mic. I will tear through this AEW roster, not out of disrespect, but as a statement. Every woman I beat here is a message to you over there. A message that the woman you threw away has become the monster you can't control. This isn't a ratings war. This is a real war, and your champions are on notice. Rising Action Part 3, The Path of Destruction and the Seagal Factor. In this story, Arisa is true to her word. Over the next few months, she carves a path of destruction through the AEW women's division. Her matches aren't about wins and losses. They're about sending a message. She faces former champion Hikaru Shida and immediately grounds her, neutralizing her speed and forcing a submission. She faces the much smaller Riho and uses pure power to overwhelm her, ending the match with a single, devastating knockout kick. Her match with Dr. Britt Baker, DMD, is even more pointed. Baker tries to play mind games, but Arisa is a stone wall. She weathers the offense before catching Baker in a complex armbar, a submission designed not just to win, but to injure. She rarely pins her opponents. Victories come via knockout or tap-out, making it clear this is a fight, not a performance. And just as her momentum becomes undeniable, the Seagal factor comes into play. Her enigmatic father, Steven Seagal, who had been silent, starts making moves on social media. It begins with a cryptic photo of him in his dojo, in front of a rack of katanas. The caption, "The student has learned the final lesson. Compassion is a weakness in war. They are not prepared." The post goes viral. Is he training her? Is he involved? A week later, he posts a short video demonstrating a brutal wrist lock, the same one Arisa used in her debut. The caption, "Some techniques are not for sport." Publicly, WWE says nothing. They refuse to acknowledge her. But behind the scenes, the wrestling world is buzzing. The line between a story and reality is blurring. Arisa LeBrock is no longer just a wrestler. She's a phenomenon, a ghost haunting WWE from the outside, with the shadow of her legendary father making her every move feel that much more threatening. The climax, the Forbidden War Challenge. Our story's climax is set for AEW's biggest stage, All In, live from Wembley Stadium. After months of dominance, Arisa stands undefeated. After the main event, she walks to the ring and commands the attention of 90,000 people. For 6 months, she says, her voice echoing through the massive stadium, I have treated this ring like my dojo. I have proven that the woman they deemed unworthy is now the most dominant force in this sport. But my mission is not complete until the debt is paid in full. She stares down the camera. Rhea Ripley, Bayley, your company has hidden you, hoping I would go away. I won't. I'm standing on one of the biggest stages in wrestling history, and I am calling you out. The crowd loses its mind. You think you're safe in your corporate bubble. You're not. Your championships are targets. I am challenging you both to a fight. A forbidden war. A triple threat match to determine whose dominance is real and whose is just corporate fantasy. The challenge is laid down. But how could it happen? Then, the impossible. The screens in Wembley glitch and cut to black. The unmistakable WWE logo appears. The feed cuts to a live shot from the WWE Performance Center. There stands Rhea Ripley, flanked by the NXT roster, a smirk on her face. Arisa, Rhea says, her voice dripping with condescension. You've been making a lot of noise. It's cute. Picking fights in the minor leagues, and now you think you can call out the queens of the majors. She steps closer to the camera. You want to fight to prove my company made a mistake? You got it. But we do it on our terms. You want your war? Bring it to our door. Survivor Series, Champion versus Champion vs Assassin. Bring your rage. Bring your revenge. We'll be waiting. Let's see if you're a real monster, or just another little girl playing dress-up in your father's shadow. The feed cuts. The WWE logo vanishes. Arisa is left standing alone in the ring as 90,000 fans are absolutely losing their minds. The challenge was made. The challenge was accepted. The war is on. So, in our story, the line has been crossed. What started as a secret, insulting rejection has exploded into an interpromotional war, all because one woman was pushed too far. Arisa LeBrock, fueled by vengeance, would have successfully forced the hand of the biggest promotion in the world, blurring the lines between a personal vendetta and a corporate conflict. A true forbidden door kicked open not by a business deal, but by sheer force of will. The woman WWE scorned would now have the power to embarrass their top champions on their own turf. But now, the ultimate question is for you. In this fantasy war, who wins? Can Rhea Ripley's power and Bayley's smarts overcome Arisa LeBrock's legitimate martial arts expertise? Book it in the comments below. Who would you want to see Arisa target next if she actually pulled this off? And if you love diving into the biggest what-ifs in wrestling, make sure you hit that like button and subscribe, because you won't want to miss where the story goes from here.